Hi, it's Rob from the Bush and Boltgun. Today I'm going to be doing a very quick tutorial on how to paint freehand Battleline markings on Space Marine pauldrons. So the first colour that we're going to use is Vallejo White, but any white will do. And what we're going to be doing is painting the arrowhead on the top of the shoulder pad here. Now the method that I do this is I paint a vertical line straight down the middle of the shoulder pad from where I want the top of the arrow. Once you've got this, you can then start working out where you want the rest of the lines to go. So as always, you want to be using your brush, dragging the brush away from the point at the very tip of the brush. This just helps it keep its point a lot better when you're doing straight lines. If you drag the brush side to side, it will spread out and create a really uneven line, but if you're dragging it away from the point, then it'll keep its point. So now we're working on the vertical lines either side, which is going to form the basis for either side of the lower section of the arrowhead. What we want to try and do is get them so they're even spaced from the middle. Now it doesn't matter too much when you first start doing them, because when you put them out like that, you can see that one side on this, the left hand side, as you're looking at it, is slightly further away from the edge of the scroll work. But it doesn't matter because they're the verticals. You can add the verticals in really easy and just fill that line out a little bit later on before you finish doing the white. Now the next part is doing the angled downward slopes for the arrowhead. Again, when you're doing this, it doesn't matter too much if you get the arrowheads slightly wonky when you first do them. Now when I put the second line on, you'll notice that it's a different angle, probably slightly longer than the other side. That doesn't matter also. The main thing is that you get a rough arrowhead and the verticals in a rough place. And then once you've got them roughly where you want them, you can then start evening it out on each side. So you want to draw two triangles, one on either side of the vertical that you painted initially. Fill them in with white. Then you can start looking at the shape of it and how you want to spread it out. Now the reason I do a lot of freehand, may not be the most incredible freehand by any stretch. The reason I do a lot of freehand on chapter markings or the battle line markings and things like that on my miniatures is because I'm really bad at using transfers, or the decals, depending on what you want to call them. So I always paint them on by hand. I think it does help overall my painting because I'm getting used to painting a lot of straight lines or a lot of different shapes and things like that, and I've learned how to do the best way for me to do curves and things like that when I'm painting them. So I do think trying to freehand everything, although it may not look as incredible as a decal or a transfer, it does improve my painting overall anyway. So just smoothing out the white here. When you look at that, you can see that the left hand side is further in and the right hand side is slightly wonky, so all we're going to do is straighten out this like so. What you don't see in this video is the left hand side of that arrowhead there, where it's a little bit further in. I just draw a straight line going down and widen that over so it's equal to the opposite side, and then just slightly even out the arrowhead. So now we're just going to use a little bit of Citadel Mephiston Red, and we're just going to touch up that right hand side sloping part of the arrow. You'll see here that it doesn't always go to plan. Top bit's fine, work on the bottom bit of a shake, there we go. So what I do is wipe the excess off with my thumb, use a tiny little bit of Vallejo White and just touch that back up a bit. Now you can see on the left hand side where I've extended the flat part of the arrow, the square at the bottom, and I've just adjusted the arrowhead on the left hand side as well so that it's even with the right hand side. So here we come with the white. we're just going to touch up that little bit where we've smudged the red onto it. Well, this is if you're trialing doing this. It is literally trial and error for the whole thing. You'll find yourself shuffling the point of the arrow around, you'll find yourself shuffling the verticals either side, but the easiest thing about it is you can just go over it with a straight line of the colour beneath and straighten that off. Now we're going to use black. It's Vallejo Black that I'm using, but again, any black will do. And you're just going to be putting in the vertical lines of the squad number. So it's going to be squad number 2. So we want 2 vertical lines on there. Now this is kind of a bit rough and ready. If you want to spend a lot more time painting them up, you can do. You'll be able to tweak the top parts, like the horizontals that you have at the top of the numbers. You'll also be able to get the points on the arrowhead perfect. Just depends on how much time you want to spend on them. As I say, this guy, I'm just painting this one up for fun because I've not painted the Howling Griffin before. But it's well worth painting them up, trying to freehand those numbers and the details on it, just to get used to that, improve your paint a little. Now you can see from the writing on the shoulder pad, writing isn't my biggest thing. That's something that I am working on, trying to improve all aspects of my painting all the time, so if I find myself unable to do something very well, I'll try and do it another way. I'll just keep working on it, practicing it. You know, it takes you a couple of minutes just to get your letters down or to get the arrowheads down and things like that. You'll see the improvements as you're doing a squad of tactical marines or a squad of intercessors. And obviously if you take a little bit more time, you can get the horizontals perfect, you can get the verticals perfect. But this is just a very quick and easy way of doing your freehand battle line markings. Now that you've got them roughly done, you can make sure you've filled in the 2 verticals properly. Then we'll use a little bit of white just to straighten up the sides, straighten up the tops, try and get the angles in there a little bit on the horizontal parts to make them look a little bit better. You can see that the right hand vertical is slightly wider than the left hand. If it was the right way up, at the moment it's the opposite side. So you can either thin out the right hand one or widen the left hand one. It's entirely up to you, however you want to do the squad numbers. Once you've got those in place, all you want to be doing is using the white to touch them up. As I say, by dragging the brush vertically away from the tip of the brush, you can get far straighter lines when you're painting. So you can just work on these, ever so slightly edging that brush in, just so that you can get the straight vertical lines down the side of each of the numerals there. This is also the time where if one of them is wider than the other, you can just slim that down. And when you're looking at them, you'll notice to keep standing it up and looking at it. That's the best way if you're painting something. Just take a step back, have a look at it. You'll see where you've got like lumps and bumps going down the side, or where you need to straighten out the vertical. So I've got a little bit of black here, and I'm just touching it up and widening a certain part and adding that little horizontal line to the bottom. It's just a case of working with the 2 colours just to smooth them up and straighten them and just get them to how you want them. Like so. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content. Also, think about subscribing to some of our other social media linked below. Thanks very much.